All right, this is our part families assignment. So another reason that we've been using expressions, the parameters inside the expressions, is that it allows us to create part families. Now, part families are a quick way of making multiple different versions of your component, changing the parameters. So maybe we're changing the thickness, or for the washer example, maybe we're changing the inner diameter and the outer diameter. And these are used a lot, especially in with like McMaster-Carr, Grainger, MSC, which if you're not familiar with these places, it's a good idea to get familiar with them. So McMaster-Carr has just about everything you could think of. And part of that is a massive supply of bolts and screws. And the cool thing about these places is that they provide you with a solid model that you can download. So this is a fully designed solid body that you can download and put into your assemblies and use. And that's a great resource we want to utilize so that we can fully design our assemblies. But the amount of models that would have to be created for this are numerous. I mean, this is just one type of the socket head cap screw, and there are a massive amount of different types. And each one of these has a solid body that you can download. Now, does McMaster-Carr have thousands of employees creating these models? No. What they do is they have a master model, and then they create part families from that model. So the part family would allow you to create these parameters. So maybe the thread length, the OD, the thread. We put all these in parameters, and then you can just change those parameters and make different parts very quickly. And that's what we're going to do with our washer example here. So we're going to create a washer, and we're going to put in we're going to make an expression parameter for ID, OD, and the thickness. And then we're going to use part families to create some of the washers from down below here. So we'll have the original washer, and then we will create two more in our part family. So let's go ahead and get started with this. This is part A of the assignment. Part B is where we take the Lego brick that we created and make a minimum of 10 distinct part configurations. So let's go ahead and open up NX and get started. All right, so make sure that we are in Roll Advanced, and we are going to open up a new file. We're going to make a new model. This is going to be in inches. We're going to name this Hw15A. And we want to save this to a place where we can put multiple different files. So when we create our part family, we're actually going to create new files and store them in the same location as the file that we're making right now. So again, it'd be a good idea to make a folder. But if you don't want to do that, just make sure that you're saving it to a place that you can access. And we'll hit OK. All right, so the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to create the expressions. Hit Control E so I can go to my expressions. I want to label these. I'll have ID for the inner diameter, and I'm just going to go off of the number 10 on the table. So the ID for that is going to be 0.219. We have OD. OD is going to be 0.5. And then we have TH for thickness. And on the table, we have a range. So I'm actually going to just find the average of those two values. 0.065. 0.036. We've got a 0.0505. So this is for our number 10 nominal sized washer. We'll hit OK. Now I want to create the actual drawing for the washer. So we'll go to a sketch, top plane. We'll create a circle. And we are going to dimension this. This will be our OD. We'll hit finish. We're going to extrude this. And our distance that we want to extrude it is just going to be our thickness. And then we want a hole in the center for that ID. And we just want to snap it to the center of the washer. Make sure we're subtracting, make sure it's a through body and it's ID, and we'll hit OK. So this is our number 10 washer. And at this point, it would probably be a good idea to put everything on the individual layers. And we're going to hide those datums and those sketches. Now we can create our part family. And so we're going to come up here to Tools. And then Part Families, it's right next to Expressions. Now if we come up here to Create Part Family, click on that. This is going to be our spreadsheet. So you might see, if you look at older ways to do this, you'll see where you can actually open up a spreadsheet in Excel. And we can still do that with this version of NX, but because of the way that the Citrix software works, it doesn't work right. So we're going to do it in NX, which is fine, works the same way. If you look it up, if you look at other videos, it might be slightly different. So just be cautious of that. We're going to do it this way. So we have a spreadsheet here. We have our part number and our part name. And we have our parameters over here. So what we want is we want to be able to change our ID, OD, and our thickness. So we're just going to double click and move them down to here. I just double clicked on ID, I want OD, and I want thickness as well. So you can see that it's already populated the 0.219, the 0.5, and then our thickness. Now, before we continue, let's go ahead and address, if you come down here to the settings, the family save directory. Let's go ahead and change this before we forget. This is where all your parts are going to be saved to. So you want this to be the same folder, the same file location that our assignment was saved to. So when we create our components here in a second, that's where it's going to be saved to. So make sure that you can access this location. And now we can come up here to the spreadsheet. So the part number and the part name, we're actually just going to name those things the same. So our assignment page on Canvas tells us to name them. First one will be Hw15A underscore washer 1, and then underscore your UUID. And then this would be 15A washer 2. So we the downside of not having access to Excel is we don't have access to the tools that Excel would provide us. But we do have some things that are still available, so we can copy and paste. So we want those names to be the same. So homework, or the washer 1 will be the name and part name. And it'll be washer 2 will be the number and part name for the second one. For the first washer that we will make in our part family, you can choose any of the washers that are on that table. I'm going to do the 1/4 inch and then the 5/16. So we started off with the number 10, and now we're going to do I'm going to do the 1/4 inch and the 5/16. So, and I'm just going to put in those parameters for the washers in this table. So this will be the 1/4 inch. So the ID, and ideally we'd want to name these something different. We'd want to like 1/4 inch washer, something like that. So that's what this is going to be. So ID for the 1/4 inch is 0.312. OD is 0.734. And then our thickness, we want to still put that range in. So we can put in a formula here. We don't have to put equals. So this will be 0.080 plus 0.051 divided by 2. And then the second washer I'm going to do is the 5/16 one. So the ID for that is 0.375. OD is 0.875. And same thing, I'm going to do this range. So I have the information for the 2 washers that I want to make in my part family. So we have these options up here. We can verify the part, we can apply values, update parts, create parts, fix orphan parts, and save the family. This we want to do often. We can save the family. And that way if we exit out of this, and it's still going to be there when we come back. The way that we select which parts we want to make is we actually have to select them. So if we are selecting a lot, we want to make sure that we have completely selected them. But if we just want to do one, so I'm just going to come over here and click on the 1 over here. You can see that all this now is, we can click on them. So verify part is a good way to just verify that all this information is correct and that it's going to work the way that we want. So if we verify the part, then it might not look like as anything has changed, but the values for that component have been applied to our model now. We can just check to make sure that, well, that looks about right, and then we can close. Nothing's been made. A new part has not been made. It's just that these values have been applied to our current open part. We can do the same thing for this one. You don't have to do them for every single one. It's just a good way to check. We can apply values if we want to. But if we want to create these parts, so I'm going to highlight both of these, and we can create parts. This is how we actually make the components. We're going to create parts, and we'll get a little notification that parts were made successfully. A note about doing these: we want to make sure that we don't have any errors in our sketches or in the way that we've constrained things, because if we don't have all that correct, then we're likely to get errors here. It's not going to go away. The errors are not just going to go away. They're going to pop up here. And especially if we don't have sketches fully defined, then we can get some really funky looking parts. So I want to make sure that before we create our part families, that our model is fully defined and does not have any errors in the sketches or anything like that. Looks like ours were created successfully. We can just exit out of this. And I'm going to hit OK. Now, if I go to that folder location, I now have my washer that we used to create the part families. And then I have the 2 washers that we made. So let's open one of these up. And I don't know if you can see it, but it's got a lock on here. So this is a read-only file. I can't make changes to this component. It's not going to let me do it because it's saying, hey, this is a part family component. If you want to make changes, go to the part family. And that's what we can do. So if we need to make changes to these parts, we can still do that. We just have to go to the parent file. And that's what this one is here. So we could go to back to tools, part families. And because we saved it, everything is still here. And let's say that, oh, well, this wasn't supposed to be a 0.34 OD. This is supposed to be a 0.3, or let's see, 0.5. We don't have to recreate the component. All we have to do is highlight it and we can update parts. Remember, it was updated successfully. And we are good to go. So we can reopen this file. Let's do that real quick. And now you can see that that has definitely changed. It's not what it was before. So just because we've created the parts and we can't edit them in the way that we've edited them before, we can edit those in the part family tool application. So make sure that you save your files and upload them to the correct Dropbox on Canvas. There's 2 Dropboxes for this assignment. So make sure you save them and submit them to the right one. You need to upload the parent file here, the one that we created the part families in, and then the 2 washers that you created with the part families.